is Friday. We're here on YouTube live and we're also in a Zoom room as well. We're so grateful for you to be here with us on Doctor's Orders. It has been going on for about 8, 9 years now, and we have been blessed to have Coach Carla, the transformation coach, to spearhead this call for all these years. As for those who may be joining us for the first time, we are part of a healthy living community known as the Juice Plus community. Juice Plus began in 1970. We were the company that introduced smoke detectors in the US. And back then we were known as NSA. And then we went into air filtration, water filtration. And then in 1993, with a divine connection between Smokey Santillo and the Juice Plus crew, Juice Plus came into the marketplace. We are just whole food, real food, good for the body. That is the number one most clinically researched product in the world. And at this moment, I believe we are somewhere around 50 peer-reviewed research studies. And I'm excited to be a part of this team and a part of this group. And Carla was the one that introduced me. So now I'm introducing her to you. Carla, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here to see all of you. I'm so grateful to have Ruth Presley as my friend. She's been such an awesome hostess here at Doctor's Orders, but she's also been a lifelong friend and support and encouragement. So today we're talking about aging pain-free because it is possible. So if you like, write in the chat some of the scary things that you've heard or thought about aging. So people have told me things like having to move into an assisted living facility, having poor mobility, not being able to take the stairs or use a bathtub. People have told me they're scared about hip or knee replacement surgery. Thank you. I see memory loss. Others have told me about incontinence. Some have suffered prolapse, whether it was bladder prolapse or uterine prolapse, either of which could be so scary and serious. And having to use a walker or a Hoyer lift to get around. So I'd like to once again introduce myself before we jump in to sweating because I'm always feeling hot. I'd like to jump in to before I jump into the session. I'd like to remind you that the information we share here today is about uh, educating you, providing you with information, and doesn't replace your conversations or consultations with your physician. And we encourage you not to make any changes to your medical routine, your medicine routine, your prescriptions without having a discussion with your physician and letting them know your concerns. And you can share this information with them, of course. Now, why am I here sharing this story with you? Well, I've actually been on a journey. I remember back more than a decade ago when I was walking out of the exam room feeling dazed. Can you relate to that? Having had a diagnosis of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and pre-diabetes. And what that meant was that I was a statistic and at risk for heart disease, for cancer, for autoimmune conditions, for diabetes. I had to search for a new solution. You see, I had a history, my own medical challenges, and the connection with my family members. But all the training that I'd had didn't protect me from these symptoms, these diagnoses. And I knew that they didn't protect other people as well because I'd worked with physicians and nurses. I'd been in the rooms where they told people that they would have to have another amputation, another surgery, that they were at risk for heart attack, or or stroke, or they'd had a stroke and they were at risk for another one. So I had to go on a journey to find a solution. And I thank God for good people. You know, one of the six pillars of health, according to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, is community. So I'm glad to be part of a community. My goddaughter, who's now a doctor of physical therapist, introduced me to the documentaries Forks Over Knives and to the work of Dr. Michael Greger, where he um, uh, has a presentation called Uprooting the Causes of Disease. And that took me from being hopeless and helpless, feeling like a helpless victim, to being hope filled and not feeling that I was at the mercy of my genetics, my family history, my cultural history, my family tree. So I started on using the information that I got, and I discovered, based on that information, the role of whole food plant based eating. And then someone introduced me to concentrated fruits and vegetables in capsules. I know, an amazing thing. And with that, with our community, I learned about the six pillars of health, and I developed the Vitality Voyage because I wanted to change my health, my destiny, and my career. And it did all of that for me. So why am I telling you this story? Because I want you to know that you too have hope. You can change your life, you can change your health, you can change your destiny, and you can change the impact you have on your family and your community based on the information that we'll be sharing here today. First, though, I want you to change your belief about what aging looks like. And you'll see me using my notes because I don't want to miss anything. One of my mentors when I was being trained as a certified health educator was Eileen Kapsavskis. She is a physical therapist, and you can check out her website, havelifelongwellbeing.com. And she recently did a program called Aging Reset. So most of the information that I'll be sharing with you today comes from the information I gathered with her. When you think about aging, tell me, put your hand up if you think about these things: poor posture, losing the ability to stand up right, using the ability to sit up straight, muscle loss, not only weakness, but also the actual loss of muscles, lost mobility, lost stability, the tendency to fall, loss of strength, which is also associated with muscle loss, and the addition of several fears, primary among them, the fear of falling. Did you know that the number one cause of death or death related injury for people over 65 is falling? No wonder so many people are afraid of falling. And osteoarthritis, joint damage, more than 500 million diagnoses and increasing. Half of the hospitalizations for persons 65 and older is due to falls. And that could be $21,000 per admission. So it's very expensive. So do you think it would be helpful if we dispelled some of the myths? I'm glad you think so. You see, research shows that all the things we've talked about that we consider associated with aging are actually due to lack of movement. They're actually due to a sedentary lifestyle. All the research that showed loss of muscle mass, poor posture, loss of mobility, loss of stability, all of these were the subjects were people who were experiencing a sedentary lifestyle. So all of these losses was not due to aging, it was due to not moving. Now, you've heard me talk about Ruth Heimlich, who's running marathons at 90 years old. But she is not an isolated case. There are people in their 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s who have kept moving and who are able to maintain healthy lifestyles, dancing, swimming, running, cycling, etc. So it's not what we have been told that age leads to loss of these capacities. What's the solution? May I tell you a story? You see, in 2007, 2013, 2017, and again in 2018, I was impacted by severe, debilitating back spasms. And I probably had a few in between that weren't so severe that I had to go to seek medical attention. Why is that? Well, it turns out that I was, in terms of activity level, mainly sedentary because most of my work was done sitting in front of a computer. Chiropractic adjustments helped relieve the pain. I thank God for my husband and wife chiropractic couple who taught me about the anatomy of nerves and how they can impact your function. Now, I learned that at Howard, but I had to relearn it and how it applied to me. And they were very helpful. And it was one way to relieve symptoms without using drugs. But the one thing it didn't do was protect me from my next episode. In fact, I remember coming out of the chiropractor's office with such a sense of relief. And then I looked at my car and instantly I knew that as soon as I got into the car and sat down in that position, that I would be undoing all the work that the chiropractor had done. So, the solution number one, exercise. Keep moving. And I thought of this M, make up your mind to keep moving. A friend of mine is a nurse, and she said one of the things that really makes a difference is that we've given up our rocking chairs for recliners. Now, I'm not against recliners. I actually have one. But I have to learn to sit in my two rocking chairs more often. Why? When you sit in a rocking chair, you are using your legs to move yourself back and forth. That allows you to keep using those muscles that result in venous return of the blood that's in your legs back to your heart. When you sit on a recliner, even if you have your legs slightly up, you're not using those muscles as much. And so there tends to be pooling and there's less, slower venous return. So make up your mind that you are going to move. Oh, overcome objections and obstacles. I know when we get home, we just want to sit down and relax. Well, nothing wrong with sitting down and relaxing for a short time, but it's more important for you to keep moving. So if you've sat for 20 minutes, half an hour, then get up and start moving, do some chores, go for a walk, do some yard work, keep moving. V, vote for your health. Make choices that uh, improve your health and serve you better. Make those choices. And nothing is neutral. It's either helping you or it's not. So vote for your health. And E, enjoy your improvement. You know, when I start walking every 2 or 3 days, over time, number one, I get to enjoy the sunshine. I get to see the birds and hear them whistling. I get to meet more people, my neighbors, and I get to experience the joy of being out in nature. So add some enjoyment. Your neighborhood might not be conducive. Maybe there aren't sidewalks. Maybe it's too busy, but find a place where you can go outside and move and enjoy the outdoors. Now, one of the things that Eileen mentions is exercising the right way. She reminds us that everything is connected to everything. And she talks a lot about it in her website, and I'll be putting that in the chat so that you can copy it. Or you can put your contact information, and I'll make sure that Charlotte gets this information to you. She reminds us not to try to isolate body parts. It's kind of like being in the hospital and you have one doctor who comes in to examine your eyes and ears, another doctor who comes in to examine your heart, another doctor who comes in to examine your pancreas and your other endocrine organs, and another doctor that comes in and is dealing with your toes and your knees. You are a whole person. And so when we're talking about exercising, Eileen warns us that isolating certain parts of the body may be less helpful than we were taught. She said weights can help, but she introduces an idea that is not very common, that we move in 3 planes of motion: forward and back, side to side, and rotation. 3 planes of motion. And most of the exercises that we do not incorporate those motions. She also introduces the idea that if you are experiencing pain in one part of the body, that may not be the part of the body that's causing the pain. For example, if you have shoulder pain, we may just focus on that shoulder. But Eileen is saying that the shoulder may be out of alignment because of a joint that's above or below it. Above the shoulder is the neck, below the shoulder is the back, the hip, the knees, and the feet. She even described a case where a young man was experiencing neck pain when the problem was he had injured his ankle, and because of that, he was out of alignment. And that alignment, the body trying to rebalance would put his whole spine out of alignment, and the pressure was being felt on the neck. So all the work that they did on trying to restore movement and pain-free function on his neck was not working because the problem, the culprit, was his ankle. So whenever you feel pain in a particular area, shoulders, waist, hips, knees, ankles, realize that the culprit may be above or below that joint, and it could be that something else is misaligned. Once again, please visit Eileen's YouTube, and I'll type that in the chat before we go so that you'll have that. Number 2, so exercise is number 1. Number 2, water. Who is surprised that water has something to do with aging? Well, if we are dehydrated, that dehydration affects our whole body, including our skin. And the skin sometimes is the first place that you notice the aging. That's what people see. So, but it's not just our skin. It's also our muscles and our joints. Our joints contain fluid. And when we are dehydrated, that fluid seems to suffer. But also our muscles. I did not realize that our muscles are 75% water. So that if we're dehydrated, we need to make sure that we are getting water because our muscles need it. Speaking of water. Number 3, who would believe that nutrition has something to do with aging? Raise your hand if you believe nutrition has something to do with aging. Well, great. So thank you. Love that. They've put the information in the chat so that you can copy it. Now, there are so many different eating plans: keto, paleo, Mediterranean, and they actually decrease in fat and cholesterol and dairy as you go from keto to paleo to Mediterranean. However, there's only one eating plan that is scientifically proven to reduce the markers of degenerative and metabolic disease and aging. It impacts blood pressure, hemoglobin A1C, inflammatory markers, and pain. It allows you to get enough calcium, magnesium, iron, vitamin D, all the vitamin Bs, vitamin A, E, C, and K. It allows you to get all the protein, carbohydrates, and fats you need. So it gives you the minerals, it gives you the micronutrients, it gives you the macronutrients, and it gives you thousands of others of phytonutrients that can only be found in fruits and vegetables. Who can figure out what it is I'm talking about? And if you put in the chat whole food, plant-based eating, you're right. Now, I want to give you the definition of whole food, plant-based eating. And that is when 90% of your calories come from plants. Now, it is true that there are some things that do not contain animal products, but they may not be healthy for you. So highly processed non-food items do not qualify as whole food plant-based eating, okay? I am so sorry for the Twizzlers crew. So whole food plant-based eating, 90% of your calories coming from plants. That is fruits, vegetables, grains, peas and beans. Thank you. Check out the web page in the chat for Eileen Kapsaskis, and you'll get some more information about movement and how movement, the correct type of movement, can help strengthen. It can help with mobility, stability, and strength. And that's what we need. So finally, the whole food plant-based eating, it is going to be high in fiber, low in fat, 3 grams of fat or less per serving for any particular food. Water will be your main drink. It will not contain any dairy products: cheese, milk, butter, cream, yogurt. None of those will be included in a whole food plant-based eating plan. Now, we said, how can we get started? We've told you that we've been served a lot of myths about aging, that a lot of what we were taught were age-related deficits are really movement-related deficits. So visit Eileen's channel and learn about the kinds of movements that can be helpful. We told you that you need more water. We all know whether you're using half your body weight in ounces or just gauging at 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. Either way, we know we need to drink more water. And the third thing is whole food plant-based eating. And we're here to help you jumpstart that process. You see, the Juice Plus company has provided us with concentrated fruits and vegetables in capsules. You may have seen these before: 10 fruit, 10 vegetables, 10 berries, and then we have the omegas. You may be considering using omegas that have been obtained from fish. Did you know that fish don't make omegas? They actually get omegas and concentrate them from the algae in their environment, but also concentrated in in their flesh are the toxins from the water, from the sea, or from the ponds in which they're being grown. So we bypassed the middle fish and we went straight to the algae and five other plant sources of omegas. And now we're not just giving you omega 3, we're not stripping the omega out of the vegetables and their sources. We're giving you omega 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9, the range of omegas that occur in plants so that you're getting the natural range of omega fats that are proven to be healthy. And that's the other thing about the Juice Plus products that I wanted to highlight before I let you go today. And that is, as Ruthie mentioned, we have 30 years of double-blind, placebo-controlled research done on humans, clinical research, that shows that adding the Juice Plus products to your eating plan results in improvements in health. I know a lot of people who take vitamins, but they cannot statistically give a list of the improvements in their health. Our research shows that taking Juice Plus does. So it's a great way to start. I told you about the fruits, vegetables, and berries, the omegas. We also have the complete shake. These are a source of protein, but plant-based protein with vegetables included. They have Brussels sprouts, pumpkin sprouts, different sprouts, amaranth, quinoa. So it's high in protein, but it's plant-based protein. So it's cleaner and is not inflammatory. We also now have, and we also have the Perform for those persons who are athletic and would like to get a plant-based powder with a higher amount of protein because athletes tend to need or use a higher amount of protein. So that would be the Perform. We also have the Luminate, which is helpful for focus, for staying calm, and it contains lion's mane, alpinia, galanga, cordyceps, sage, coffee berry, ashwagandha, and rhodiola. The superfood is what was in the capsules is now in a little sleeve so that you can just put it into water and shake it around and drink it, and you've got the equivalent of the food of the fruit, vegetables, and berry capsules. Of course, you can also grow your own fruits and vegetables using the tower garden. So what this does is it bridges the gap between wherever you are. Remember, I told you could jumpstart and you can get now closer to being part of the 5%. The CDC says only 5% of Americans say they get 5 servings of fruits and vegetables daily. You can get closer to being part of that 5% using our Juice Plus products. And this jumpstart can be a jumpstart to your healthy living. Not only will it help you, according to the research, with your skin, with your heart function, with your immune function, but it will also help you with the strength and health of your muscles and your bones. So you can reach your health goals faster and easier by using the Juice Plus products. Now, I hope the information that I've shared with you today has been enlightening and helpful, and that you can see how you can jumpstart your healthy living journey. If you have questions, please stay after we stop the recording so that I can try to answer them for you. And please join us next time while our friends unmute and say what we say every Friday night.
Eat
Eat more
more
fruits
fruits
and
and
veggies.
vegetables.
That's right. Eat more fruits and vegetables. This is Coach Carla Joy and the whole and Ruth Presley and the whole gang saying thank you for joining us.